Okay, I'm gonna start to draw. I've seen a lot of these videos online. I like to look at YouTube and see other artists and what they do, and I enjoy them so much. I figure I'd try my hand at this. Um, the first thing I'm going to do, because of the placement of my camera, I'm going to have to work upside down, so bear with me. So I may have to turn it towards me and then turn it back around for you to see it. The first thing I do when preparing my cards is a neutral background. This isn't mandatory, but I find it to be very helpful. So I'm going to take my brush out, and I'm going to take my little paint palette, and I'm going to use a little yellow. I'm putting a little yellow in my paint palette. And you see the very small amount that I tap in there. But you'll see when I add water to that, how much I get. A little scarlet, I'll tap that in down here. The scarlet definitely goes a long way. And there is a brown. There's orange. And it seems like that there's certain colors that always hide from me when I'm looking for them. And brown is top on the list. Dark brown. Okay, now I'm going to put dark brown down here. And I'm going to stop for a second while I put these supplies up and grab some water. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm going to add a little water to these colors. And I'll start with taking a drip of water, mixing it in with this yellow. There may have been a little red left here, so that yellow's coming out a little orange from my last use. Because I'm going to neutral these colors down, it doesn't matter. You'll see that from the yellow powder, that it's already turned my water yellow. That's how strong these colors are. Let's see, I put the red down here. You'll see that how strong that red is. So these colors are very strong. Okay, so I've got my little colors mixed up. In this case, you'd want to keep the colors separate and strong normally, but because we want these cards to be a neutral background, I'm using a watercolor brush. And I'm taking some water, and because the colors are so strong, that little bit of yellow that I got in the water is already turning my card yellow. I'm going to take just a touch of brown. I'm going to water it down and spread the card over the card to give it a little brown neutral background. Now these are like watercolors. They're going to dry a little bit lighter. You wouldn't use acrylic colors for this technique. The reason that you wouldn't use acrylic, or I don't use acrylic, is that some people say that the acrylic colors will clog your micron pens. I haven't had that experience with my micron pens being clogged. My experience has been that when I go to draw on type, that the acrylic colors make the paper rougher than the watercolor, and so then it's more difficult for the micron pens to slide over. That's been my experience. So I don't use acrylic colors. I try to use watercolor colors. I think probably if you really watered down your acrylic colors, it might work, but I don't know. because I don't do it. Let's see. This is the one with the thicker paper. You'll see there'll be less curling. I think this is the thicker paper. Less curling with this one. So I'm going to take and put some water on here. I'm going to make this one a little brighter. And you'll see a little less curling of the paper. It's some curling, but a little less. Now, you'll see the board. I'll put a couple boards out here. And I'm just using the paint that's in my brush and the water now. Got enough paint in the brush to tone this. Now you can add, this is too much color, I think. So I'm just gonna, one thing, if you get too much color, one way to do it is to get the color off, is to use bleach and water will fade brush out, and it'll fade out. And that's one technique to get. You can add extra water. This paper's so thin over here, though, it may curl up, but, and then blot them. Use a towel to blot out the extra color if you get too much color. So you'll see how that blotted out the color where I had too much color. But that's how you make your backgrounds. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to draw the faces. We get to the fun part. There's various ways to do the faces, but I'm going to do a couple different ways to start out with, and then I may have, if I have time, I'll show you some more variations. Now, I am drawing on paper without the background painted just because these haven't quite dried yet. So I'm going to show you using the micron pen, and I'm going to use a 01 micron pen to start with. And if that doesn't show up on the camera, then I'll go to a darker pen. This is on the Soho board, and this is a regular, the light watercolor paper, lightweight watercolor paper. The first thing you do is you draw an oval, and it can be more of a circle if you want a younger look or older. Now I'm drawing upside down. I'm drawing facing you. The oval can be wider at the top, little egg shape if you want. You'll find that you will have your own style and your own look that you like to have. I like to draw long necks. Have anybody seen my drawings? I draw long necks with a heart, either a heart-shaped neckline or a V-neck. I draw the body coming at an angle there. Now you can make both shoulders going down or one shoulder going up. It's up to you what you want. The next step that I regularly do is, just because that's my habit, is I put in the nose next. The nose goes 2/3 way down the face. So you're leaving a third space there. The nose, I draw a nostril, a lump down, and a nostril. That's just my simplified way of doing it. It's not realistic at all. It's sort of my way. Then I draw an indent on either side for the sides of the nose. Now I know where my nose is going to be. Now I can place my eyes. What I do, sometimes I just start drawing my eyes. Sometimes I draw like a little line for either side of the nose up at the eye area. It depends on what mood I'm in. My eyes have to be at least an eye width apart. So I'm going to start my eye a little further, and I make an almond shape and an almond shape. Now, if I discover that one of my eyes is smaller than the other, like I have here, this is what I normally do. I take and I cheat. I put this eyelid on the inside of the eye and this eyelid on the outside of the eye. And then magically it evens them up. So if you first you don't succeed, you just adjust it a little bit. You can make one eyelid bigger than the other to make your eyes even. The next thing I do is make the mouth. The mouth I start with, the mouth should be a little wider, and I normally start with a line that has an end on either end, like a great big smile, but that's not the mouth. Then I draw, this is where you got to be careful. The top, where your nose and the center of your eyes, all this has to line up. The bottom of the nose, the center of the eyes, and the middle of the mouth have to line up. Then I draw my top of my mouth and the bottom of my mouth. Sometimes I make my mouth a lot smaller, sometimes I make it bigger. Depends on the mood. You can add eyelashes. You can add cat eyes. You can do whatever you want to do at this point. Now, of course, you do want to put in an eyeball. You can put, now wherever your eyeball is, if it's on this side of the center, it's on this side of the center, the other eye has to be on this side of the center. If it's in the center, they both have to be in the center. If this one's on the inside, then this one's going to be on the outside. So that's another place that you need to be careful. And if you get outside the line, just stick in that bottom lid a little bit to get you inside there. Okay, now I'm going to hold this a little closer so you can see what I did here. That's my face. From this point on, you can color it in as you want. You can shade it. You can add whatever you want to it. I'm going to show you the rest of how I do this, but I'm going to be showing you this face a few times. It's very stylized. It's not accurate. It's almost like a comic book face, but that's what we want. At this point, I'm going to make, in this one I'm going to make a scarf. Most of the time I don't decide if it's a hair or a scarf. Maybe I don't decide even before it's done, but this time I'm going to decide that I'm going to make a scarf. And the scarf, I'm just drawing random spaces above that make up a scarf. Then on the side, one side of the scarf, I put the tie. To put the tie, I put one big knot, and then I put parts of the scarf coming down, hanging from the knot. And each of these areas I'm going to tangle. I can also add, like the scarf is coming down in the face. This area, many times I'll put like curly cues to make it look like the hair is coming in the face. That's up to you. You can add earrings, like a circular area on either side that I'll later tangle in to represent earrings if you want. Another thing that I like to add is just put round circles around the neck to represent, it's kind of your Pebbles Flintstone necklace. That's another thing I like to add. So, that's one drawing. I have another technique that I use that I'll show you on this other card. So, give me a second to set up and I'll be right back.